Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to continue to look at the latest on the cold and potentially snowy weather that is drifting southwards throughout today, giving widespread snow showers in the north, providing much colder air further southwards, where we're going to see weather fronts bumping into that cold air, and we're going to see some potentials for heavy snowfall in places. Again, we still have a lot of uncertainty within the models, still some uncertainty in positioning of weather fronts and areas of precipitation, but also seeing some significant uncertainty in the typings of precipitation as well, with some of these runs showing a lot of rain and some snow, others showing mostly snow and a little bit of rain towards the coast. So we do have a lot of uncertainty still, as we are only a number of hours away from some of these weather fronts arriving, and we'll just decipher what the runs are doing today. I had said it a number of days ago, but I do think a lot of these events will be nowcast situations where we're not going to know exactly how it plays out until it actually reaches us, until we're actually able to see it on the live radar and have actual observations of what is falling out of the sky. So we'll run through the various charts today from the short range models. We'll have a look at the weather warnings as well. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. So if you do start on the live radar, you can see there's a lot of precipitation around at the moment as the unstable and much colder air mass is drifting in. Now you can see most of the showers in Scotland now are falling as snow, at least inland and over any moderate hills, and it will be lowering pretty much to sea level over the coming hours as that very cold air drifts in. Now further southwards we do have areas of precipitation, again weather fronts dividing the very cold air from the generally chilly air that we have had over the past few days. You can see it's mostly greens, again rain, but we are seeing pockets of blue and even some in East Anglia and some of this heavier precipitation, again indicating there could be a little bit of snow around there, but I do doubt that, especially right now being early on Monday. I doubt we're seeing any of this fall of snow yet, as there is a wedge of slightly milder air giving temperatures in the mid to high single digits through southern England today. So yeah, I don't think we're seeing a lot of winter precipitation, and again that's just a fault of the radar picking up on it wrong. So of course we've got to take that into account over the coming days. We're pretty much behind this weather front that's now through northern England. Behind that, the area is turning bitterly cold, and that will spread through this evening, and the weather front here could pep up through this evening and give potentially some back-edge snow for the south into tomorrow. And again, there is a huge uncertainty on the typings of that, and if we do actually see any accumulations, or whether it's just a bit of falling snow on the back edge. Now, if you put on the temperatures as of around 9 a.m, we do have widely cooler conditions. You can see a bit of hints of yellow ahead of that weather front in the north, again indicating we've still got a wedge of slightly milder air, but you see any moderate elevation and towards the coast where we've got that raw northeasterly wind coming in, those temperatures will be cold and feeling very, very cold, but still perhaps 6 to 8 degrees through parts of England today. But these lighter blues will be spreading through. We're all going to see a much colder Tuesday, Wednesday, probably Thursday. Again, uncertainty depending on timings of weather fronts, and probably Friday still in the north, more unlikely in the south. So that's sort of the temperatures for the rest of the week, but we'll have a look at that in the UKV in a minute. So yeah, cold at the moment, but very cold air is still spreading in. So this time tomorrow, I'd expect to see lighter blues everywhere, and those temperatures widely below freezing. So we do put on the weather warnings. We do have one change from yesterday. We got a yellow snow and ice warning issued for Northern Ireland. Nothing further southwards yet. Again, there is huge uncertainty, so perhaps not quite reaching the spec for any warnings yet, because we could see non-events in the south when it comes to snowfall. All the warnings we have so far, pretty high certainty because it is convection, where we know there's not going to be too much of a risk of rain mixing in, and we know there's going to be some heavy snow around, whereas for areas in the south we're still uncertain on the exact positioning of weather fronts and the typings. So we're not seeing warnings issued yet. There could be some very short term warnings issued, perhaps even tonight, or as early as tonight, but definitely probably into tomorrow and Wednesday. We could see some snap warnings issued. So we'll just have a look at the snow warning and ice warning for Northern Ireland, as we've had a look at the other warnings in detail. 9 p.m. tonight until 10 a.m. tomorrow, snow showers and icy patches likely to cause some more travel disruption. High likelihood, lower end of the impact, but again, could be more significant snow places, 1 to 2 centimetres in some spots, especially over higher ground and over northern parts, but could be some more elsewhere as well. So again, it's overnight, so we are likely to see some accumulations where those temperatures do drop below freezing. Again, it will be very patchy accumulations anywhere in the country when we do have snow falling, as it is in the daytime, as it is early March, very strong sunshine, or starting to get very strong sunshine. So it does mean it's very difficult to get those surface temperatures below freezing. So definitely we could see some significant snow over this week in the night time, but I doubt we'll see much in the day, apart from higher areas in Scotland. So we've looked at the weather warnings. We've got another warning for the northeast today that continues into tomorrow and into Wednesday. The warning has been extended, but of course we're not seeing any other warnings yet, but I do expect to see perhaps some precautionary snow and ice warnings issued elsewhere, but difficult to say where those are going to be. It's going to be one of those. Got to keep an eye on the social media of the Met Office and, of course, their weather warnings page. And of course, if we do see any major warnings issued at any point, we'll probably do an update video on that as well. Just as I was getting ready to upload this video, we have got now a yellow snow and ice warning issued for parts of England and Wales. Now stretching from around the M4 line, perhaps just south of the M4 line, through southern England, all the way up towards the Midlands as well. So ice and snow leading to difficult travel conditions tonight until tomorrow morning from 9 p.m. until 10 a.m. If we look at the further details, you can see this was just issued just after I recorded the latest video. You can see a band of rain will edge southwards through the course of Monday evening and early Tuesday. This rain turning to snow on hills and perhaps low-lying areas. In places, many areas will see little to no accumulations, but 1 to 2 centimetres could fall in a few spots, most likely over higher ground and southern parts of the warning area. The rain and snow is then expected to turn light and patchy as it slowly clears southern England on Tuesday. And as skies do clear, ice is likely to form. High likelihood, lower at the end of the impact. So again, not expecting anything too major here, but it's one of those where if more of this precipitation does fall as snow than initially anticipated, we could see some decent accumulations in a few spots that could cause problems. Again, the issue we've got here is the precipitation will be the heaviest in the south, but the most snow conducive air is further northwards, and it's where that northwards extent of that air does collide with that wintry, with that precipitation in the south, where we'll see the most significant wintriness, and that could be later in the evening across the far south of the warning area. So the north of this warning area will be the coldest, the south will have the heaviest precipitation. It's sort of in that southern extent where that cold air does undercut it. That's where we could see the most amount of snow. So actually in the northern area here, you're probably most likely to be the coldest through northern England as well, but you're not going to see the heaviest precipitation. Some areas to the south of this are likely to see the heaviest precipitation, but not seeing the snow conducive air. So it's one of those which can be very difficult to forecast. Some areas outside of this warning area could see snow. Some areas in this warning area will only see rain. And it's one of those where we're just going to have to keep an eye on the live radar overnight into tomorrow. Of course, because this warning is pretty much all overnight, some areas could be waking up to a slight dusting tomorrow morning. And if you're up early in the morning, you could see some flakes coming out of the sky tomorrow. It's just going to be one of those, keeping an eye on the live radar to see what does happen. So if we do now go over to the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. Now, have said over the last few days, the UKV is, in my opinion, the most highly regarded short-range model for the UK. And again, depending on whether you want snow or not, I think some would have differing opinions, because recently the UKV has been forecasting a lot of snow. It has been showing a lot of snow, and it continues to do that this morning, whereas other runs are showing the precipitation further away from the UK and showing more rain mixing in. So we'll run through it, but of course I have to put those catches in there because it could not come off, and I don't want people to expect snow when we're only looking at certain scenarios here. We can't cover every single model, and most of these models will not be right. They'll hopefully have the general gist, be close to the right solution, but they cannot physically be 100% right, as we are seeing so much spread at the moment. But if we do run through today, you can see mostly snow in the north, rain further southwards, but that could turn to snow on its back edge overnight tonight. You can see around midnight, as that snow becomes a bit, that rain becomes a bit more organised in the south. It could turn to snow through parts of Southern Ireland, parts of South Wales, and then into Southern England as well. Especially over higher ground, it's turning at least it's patchy initially, and then it perhaps turns a little bit more organised into the parts of the morning. Again, I doubt we'll see a lot of accumulations with that, simply because the ground temperatures will be well above freezing, but there could be quite a bit of falling snow with that, and maybe some on grassy surfaces. Beyond that, we see plenty of snow showers in the north, and into tomorrow afternoon we could see quite a few snow showers inland as well, popping off there through the Midlands and northern England through Tuesday afternoon as convection really gets going. And then the uncertainty comes in into Tuesday evening as we see another weather front starting to approach from the southwest. So we've got peppering of snow showers in the north, but the main risk for heavy snowfall is these frontal systems. Initially bumping into the far southwest, snow inland and over higher ground, and then widespread snow through southern Wales and most of England and Wales. Again, very interesting seeing this spreading in, giving some very heavy snow in places and falling overnight. After sort of 36 hours of colder air, I wouldn't be surprised to see some accumulations from this with those surface temperatures below freezing. Now, we see that snow initially move in, and then we see another low bump into that cold air through Wednesday afternoon. Now, it doesn't get anywhere as far northwards, but it's a lot more intense. So if this did bump into that colder air more, get further northwards, it could produce some even heavier snow. Now, because it's initially falling in the daytime, a bit more rain mixed in with that. That fell a bit more overnight. We could see more snow within that, eventually clearing. And then we see a bit more uncertainty into Thursday with a low pressure system trying to bump in further northwards to this colder air, heavy snow through parts of Ireland, and then we see some heavier snow into northern England and Scotland, but more rain for the Midlands and southern England. Again, we're still seeing differing opinions on the positioning of this low, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a slider low, so we can pretty much rule out snow for southern England. Maybe the Midlands could see some snow, northern England, Northern Ireland, Scotland with this. Again, uncertainty with it as it clears, it is likely to bring in that colder air once again. So we're all going to go back into that very cold air for Friday, and then we see more slider low from the UKV here in the far south. So very weird seeing this low move in. If this was a few hundred miles further southwards, we'd be seeing widespread snow with this. But again, could still change. It's 3 or 4 days away. But at this stage, snow for northern areas, rain further southwards. And we can see this well emphasised on the age of THPA temperatures. Bitterly cold air, all wrapped around the low, but we're just stuck in this milder sector through most of England and Wales before eventually the cold air does wrap in back around again. So if we do have a look at the surface temperatures now, and then we'll review the other various precipitation charts, you'll be able to see the big uncertainty. So through this afternoon, you can see about 5 to 8 degrees in the south, freezing in the north, and overnight tonight widely below freezing in northern areas, and could get towards freezing in the far south, but maybe not quite enough night time to get those temperatures down. Into tomorrow afternoon, not really rising all too much, maybe 3 to 5 degrees below freezing in the far south, where we do see cloud and snow drifting in. Again, uncertainty with the exact positioning of that, as we'll see in a minute. Some runs still don't have that precipitation making its way in. As we head through Tuesday into the evening, widespread frost pretty much all areas below freezing, wherever we've got the clearest skies, -3 to -5, maybe even as low as -7 to -10 in some places. That's going to freeze the ground, so if we do see snow after that, through Wednesday and Thursday, we could see potentially some significant snow. Now look at these temperatures into Wednesday afternoon, that's very peculiar, widely freezing or below freezing through parts of England and Wales. That is pretty ridiculous for early March. I'd say that's quite unlikely. However, as we saw in the precipitation, we've got big, thick cloud, some snow cover, and snow falling. So if we saw that exact pattern come off, this could be plausible. But I highly doubt we'll see anything close to an ice day through England and Wales, apart from maybe the highest ground, unless we did see these exact conditions come off. But it just shows you what we could see. We could see a major snow event if the conditions were absolutely perfect, like this UKV run is showing. But I can't see that happening at this stage from what we're seeing from the other runs. But of course, UKV is high resolution, one of the most highly regarded models, so it could be right in this situation, and the other runs could be slightly wrong. But we'll have to see. We'll actually have a look at those snow depths in a minute, and we'll be able to see how much the UKV is predicting. Beyond that, into Wednesday night, still well below freezing for many areas, and then that mild wedge of air coming in could be seeing 10 to 13 degrees through Thursday afternoon. Ridiculous temperatures there after freezing cold conditions on Wednesday, staying very cold in the north, and eventually that cold air does sweep back in for most into Friday, maybe 6 to 8 degrees, and then below freezing once again into the early hours of Saturday. Northern areas really could hold on to this cold air, so pretty much if you're in Scotland, Northern Ireland and the far north of England, don't think there's going to be any milder spell towards the end of this week. It's going to stay bitterly cold all the way into the weekend, where that dividing line between that milder air and that colder air, can't say for certain, but I think it's anywhere from the Midlands up towards southern Scotland at this stage. So if you just finally have a look at those snow depth, you can see huge snow in Scotland, 50 centimetres in some areas, so we could be seeing some historic snowfall totals in some areas. Again, one run could change. If we do run it back and have a look at some of that snow in southern areas, you can see some quite heavy snowfall there through Wednesday afternoon or into the morning, into the afternoon, widely seeing sort of 3 to 5 centimetres temporarily before it does melt away as that milder wedge of air does move in. So we'll just have to keep an eye on what happens with that. You can see quite a few areas seeing some snowfall over the coming days from the UKV, but again, I wouldn't take this as gospel, as it could still change quite rapidly. And as we'll see the other precipitation charts in a minute, they are showing slightly different outcomes. So if we do now have a look at the GFS charts from the latest GFS run, look just at the precipitation. Again, you can see the northerly winds coming in, snow on the back edge of some of this precipitation, and we do see some snowfall perhaps tonight in the far south and southeast into tomorrow afternoon as well. But again, nothing too major. So GFS is pretty on point with the UKV here. However, as we head into Wednesday, that weather front is much further southwards, seeing no snow at all. We just dry under the cold air for most areas. And into Thursday, that weather front bumps in, and it gives mostly snow through sort of the Midlands northwards into parts of northern England. Then it is followed by another really quite strong low pressure system with that snow line through northern England, Northern Ireland into Scotland, before all areas start to turn slightly milder into the weekend. So similar to the UKV, has those lows on Thursday and Friday, slightly further northwards initially, and it's got two lows there instead of one sort of succinct low that the UKV had. So again, uncertainty with that, but similar tracks again through that Midlands to Northern England area. We could be seeing that snow line. Again, it will be a very stark contrast. 10 degrees in the south, freezing 100 miles further northwards. So it's going to be a very strong temperature gradient, and it's going to be all dependent on where that ends up. Will decide the rain and snow amounts. But GFS definitely showing some big snow events, perhaps in the far south, but not really anywhere near as much as the UKV was showing, but definitely for areas in the north later this week. Now, if you show the ECMWF run now, see what that is showing. Again, snow perhaps into tomorrow, but not quite as much. A little bit more mixing with the typing there, more rain mixing in there, but still some pinks and purples indicating some snow. Beyond that, into Wednesday, that weather front does bump into that cold air, and it does show snow into Wednesday. So quite on line with the UKV there, perhaps not quite as far northwards as the UKV was showing, but still widespread snow in the far south. Again, can't say for certain how much of that will accumulate. Beyond that, into Thursday, that snow continues. Another bump of colder, snowier conditions into Wednesday evening. Again, that is something the UKV did show. Again, it showed it slightly further northwards, but again, showing another little system moving in, perhaps giving some heavy snow. Beyond that, into Thursday, we see another snow system moving in. Again, northern England, perhaps the Midlands initially, then northern England for that snow line. Drifting in, some significant snowfall once again in the far north, before it does drift away. We see colder air return, and perhaps even some more transient snow into the weekend for areas even in the south, before eventually all turning back to rain as we head into the following week. Now, if you compare it to the ARPEGE run, So that's showing again, this is another high resolution model, again quite highly regarded by some. Again, I do think it sometimes struggles a bit with precipitation typing, doesn't show as much snow when we actually do see snow in reality, so do take that with a grain of salt for this run. So you can see the precipitation heading in the south, you can see mostly rain, patchy snow, and again, I do think more of that will be snow, simply because of what we saw from the UKV, GFS, and the ECNWF runs. Beyond that, into Tuesday and Wednesday, we do see that rain bump in, but further southwards, similar to the GFS. I'm very uncertain exact positioning of that weather front still, and that's coming in about 36 hours' time. As we head beyond that, through Wednesday afternoon, we see more precipitation bump against that and some snow. Again, if you do extrapolate that, and so the ARPEGE does underdo precipitation typings, we could say most of that would be falling as snow. Again, M4 southwards though. Beyond that, into Thursday, we see more precipitation bump against that cold air and quite a widespread snow event through the Midlands, Northern England, into Friday as well, with that snow. Again, it is transient as there is a big mild wedge pushing in behind that, so you could see some temporary snow, but still huge uncertainty with that. So as we have seen through the various charts here, we've had a look at 4 main models, and all are showing broadly similar pattern. Cold air drifting in now, weather front starting to approach from as early as tomorrow, giving some precipitation. That could fall to snow, with that snow line slowly drifting northwards as we head later into the week, eventually bring that snow line as far north as Scotland come the weekend. But we've got a huge uncertainty where that snow line will end up in the next couple of days, and the general positioning of precipitation, as you can see from these models. So if you do want some snow, the best thing really to do is to keep an eye on the Met Office weather warnings, as they are pretty much on top of this. Every single run that comes out, they're having a look at it and making sure that their warnings do support whatever the main consensus is. So do check up on the warnings. At the moment, the Met Office do not think there is a significant risk in the south yet, because of the spread in the models, but that could change over the coming hours. We could see warnings issued at any time, so do make sure you keep up to date with the Met Office warnings, as we'll have a look at that, and we'll continue to have a look at those as well. And of course, if we do see any major changes, as I said, we'll probably put a small video out updating that. So as I said, make sure you keep an eye on the live radars. That's the best way really to know when any snow could come your way. And again, it's just about nowcasting. Have a look out the window really when we do have precipitation approaching. That's really the best way to have a look at this, as we are really blindsided when it comes to these sort of events where it is very marginal and we still are very uncertain on positioning of weather fronts. So it is going to remain very cold this week. Big snow potential. Going to keep an eye on those models and on the warnings, the weather warnings, so make sure you keep up to date with that. And of course, if you're looking for any snow over the coming days, do have a look at the live radar, as that is the best way to know when things are coming your way. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to stay tuned, as we will continue to update you. And of course, if we see any major changes, we'll probably be putting some snap videos out, so do look out for those. But as I said, make sure you do like and subscribe, and I'll see you again for another video soon.